You've probably never heard of them. They're really underground. Oh, hello, drinking buddies. I didn't see you there. I was just thinking about how I know so many whiskeys that you've probably never heard of. I guess I should do like a top 5 list or something. Yeah, let's do that.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies, I'll put my hipster persona aside for a moment and explain to you what I'm thinking here. So I thought that it would be fun to do top 5 whiskeys that you may have never heard of. So these are my hipster bottles. These are bottles that I think that I could recommend to people to try out that you may never even heard of. If you're a regular on the channel, you may have seen me mention these in videos, but if you're new to the channel, you may have never heard of any of these. So these are 5 whiskeys that I'm recommending that are smaller that you may have never heard of. So for number 5, I'm gonna go ahead and recommend one that it's kind of growing in popularity, and so therefore you may have seen it before, and that's gonna be the Still Austin Cask Strength. So when I bought this bottle, I could only find it in Texas. I didn't know of it being available anywhere else. And since having bought it in Texas, it's now at my local Total Wine. And it is a Spirits Direct bottle, so you get your coupon off. Got a Manhattan here. Just finished up doing a video for the Manhattan Project and the Build Your Own Manhattan Challenge. So check that video out as well if you like Manhattans. I do make a mean one. So Still Austin Cask Strength, really solid bottle, under 50 bucks. Sits at 118 proof. It is a fairly younger product, but it says aged at least 2 years on the back, which kind of sounds, 2 years. However, it's aged at least 2 years in Texas. 2 years in Texas is like 6 years in Kentucky. It's hotter and things just age much faster there. And maybe not 6 years, but at least 4 years in Kentucky. Texas ages things in a weird way. This one doesn't have as much of that crazy Texas profile as some of the other Texas whiskeys I've tasted. You do get a little bit of that mesquite note, but it doesn't like hit you in the face with some of those crazy Texas qualities. Solid bottle, under 50 bucks, Still Austin Cask Strength. So for my number 4, I'm showing one that I've never heard anyone talk about on any whiskey channel. And this is going to be Maverick's Double Wood. This is from the Cali Distillery. This is a small batch American whiskey. It does not label itself as bourbon, but it is new American oak and then finished with toasted French oak. So this is a toasted French oak barrel. And I'm not familiar with anyone else in the toasted scheme using French oak. It's always an American barrel toasted when they do toasted barrels. So it's really cool to see it done in French oak. And this is produced and bottled by the Cali Distillery. So this small distillery is producing a really solid whiskey that's probably not very old, but sure tastes great. I really like this. Tastes great blind. I've included it in blinds and it does stand up against some of the other toasted products out there. It's not as good as the Master's Keep 1, but I would say it's in the same range as Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. And it's 90 proof, so similar in proof. This one, it was a store pick from Total Wine. It's a single barrel. And it's 94 points from the Panel Tasting Magazine. So apparently they agreed with me that this is a solid bottle. So if you see Cali Distillery Maverick Double Wood in your area, it'd be worth picking up. Next up, we have for our number 3 bottle, Bone Snapper Rye. I've had a couple pours of this at Nana's Kitchen. I have yet to open this bottle. I'm gonna save it for a Wild Whiskey Wednesday, so you'll be seeing a review of this soon. This is a lower end bottle. It's under $40 and sitting at 108 proof. It's nice to see a smaller company producing something in the lower range. Yes, it is MGP rye that they have, sourced, but it's good. I don't care where they sourced it from, and there's transparency on the bottle. Really solid bottle, under 40 bucks, 108 proof. You can't go wrong with it. Check out Bone Snapper Rye. For number 2, I wanted to throw out something really unique because I very rarely talk about anything other than bourbon and rye. However, I really liked this Kyokayo Kyokayo whiskey. This is a single barrel Japanese, and it's done in the Mazunura oak finish. Now, I don't know a ton about Japanese whiskey. However, when I bought this, I tasted like 7 other Japanese whiskeys at the time, 6 or 7, and this was by far my favorite. I really liked this bottle. It is the single barrel, so it may, you know, differ from batch to batch, but that initial one that I tasted, you know, would have been a different barrel than the one that I bought. Man, this is just so nice. It's a great summer whiskey. It's sitting at 88 proof, so it's not too hot on the proof. I know I'm a proof hound. 90 is usually my starting point. So for me to recommend something under 90 proof, you know it's something unique and good. It's definitely got that that smokiness, a little bit of that peatiness to it, but it is subtle. It's soft. It has complexity. It's not just that one note of iodine and Band-Aids. Really solid bottle. I highly recommend you look out for it. And I had never heard of the distillery, so maybe you haven't either. Now, if you're familiar with a lot of Japanese whiskeys, you're probably like, this guy, he's talking about a whiskey that everybody knows about. That's possible, but like I said, I feel like the average bourbon tube viewer isn't that big into Japanese, so maybe this is a new bottle for a lot of people. Next up, last one. So for number 1, I did want to talk about Oaken Eden. This is a finished whiskey. This is Spire Select. This is wheat and Spire. So this is MGP wheated mash bill with a Spire inside. And I tell you, drinking buddies, this tastes old. I did have it in my wheated tournament, and unfortunately it just got beat out by just a slightly better bottle. You know, unfortunately, it went up against FAE01. Oh, and FAE01 is really good from makers, but that's not, FAE01 is not a bottle you can go out and buy anymore. It's gone. Whereas this is something I think you can still find. I will admit that this is a pick from Total Wine, so it is 116 proof, but they're still out there. So if you have Total Wines in your area, I would try to find this Oaken Eden Wheat and Spire. And I actually have turned a few people onto this bottle, and they have all thanked me for it. So this is one that I have recommended to people. They've gone out and bought it, and they were happy. They were pleased. It tastes a lot older than it is. That Spire in there really does the trick. And you know, I feel like I would be tricked into thinking this is over 10, over 12, maybe even 15 years old, maybe even older than that. So that's going to be my number 1 hipster bottle. Drinking buddies, in the comments below, tell me what is your favorite bottle that no one has picked up on yet. Maybe it's still kind of a secret bottle. Maybe you're trying to keep it a little bit secret so everybody doesn't rush out and buy it. But let me know in the comments what it is, and I promise not to tell anyone. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.